Shout out to Kopish.
Shout out to Kopish, guys.
Keep all the good work
the
up.
two legends, Emil Heskey, Howard Gill. Can't get much better than that, guys. Yeah. You know what to do now. Like, comment, subscribe. I'm with legends, guys.
Kopish.
Good afternoon, lovely people. I hope you're well and welcome back to another live match preview. This time it is Newcastle United sitting fourth in the league versus Liverpool Football Club. And I'm delighted to be joined by a very special friend of mine, Peter McLeave. It's going to be very obvious why I've invited Pete on. We have two missions of this. One to speak about Newcastle versus Liverpool, but also a very special campaign Pete has got going on. So Pete, thanks very much for joining. How you doing?
Oh, Callum, good to see you, man. Fantastic. Yeah, really been looking forward to doing this. So, yeah, thanks so much for getting me on.
Absolute pleasure. Absolute pleasure. Pete, look, Newcastle United. In the last 5 games, you've drawn 4 and you've won 1. You're still sitting in the Champions League spots, though. Liverpool, on the other hand, are 3 losses, 1 draw and 1 win. Now, granted, our win did come recently against Everton. It was fantastic to get that win. However, you'd almost be remiss for swapping the two teams around if you had predictions at the beginning of the season. You look at Newcastle, though. How are you finding the season so far, and has it exceeded your expectations?
It's unbelievable to see where we are. I mean, for me, coming into this season, having endured, relegation battles for so many years, and having lived through the relegations as well, just being nowhere near the bottom for me was always going to be a step forward in success. To actually have us, sitting up there in Champions League positions is beyond anyone's expectations. And I'm not one of these fans who's expecting the world on a plate straight away. We enjoy it while it's here. But I'm also I've been around Newcastle long enough now to know that it can go very wrong very quickly. So we ride the crest of the wave while it's here, and whatever happens at the end of the season, it's been a phenomenal success. Eddie Howe's come in, and we bought well. But the way he's got the players playing that we had in the squad beforehand, whether it's your Longstaffs, your Joe Lintons, it's a masterclass in management. And so to see that and enjoy it is great to see. And when we watch the end of a game and you see every single end of the game, you'll see the squad go over to the fans and clap, and there's smiles on faces. We're not on the back of the tabloid papers for the wrong reasons much anymore. And it's a nice squad to follow. It's a nice team to follow at the moment. So I'm enjoying it while we can.
Yeah, I've always said if there's one team that deserved to get the riches and to get new ownership, it was you guys. Now Liverpool are going through their own ownership situation at the moment, but you've really enjoyed it over the years with Mike Ashley. And in the time you've had these new owners, everyone straight away thought, yep, Newcastle are going to go on this crazy spending spree. But you haven't done it like that. You've actually done it opposite to what Chelsea and Manchester City did. And you brought in Eddie Howe, which everyone thought was going to be a stopgap manager. Yep. You mentioned Eddie Howe's masterclass so far. Do you think he's the guy to take you forward to that next step, that European elite pedigree?
I'm not blind to the fact that at some point, all managers move on for whatever the reason. But I think even for this season alone, whatever happens with Eddie Howe, and I think he should be given the chance. I think he's earned it. He's gone beyond expectation for everyone. He should be given the chance to take us to the next level. But whatever happens with Eddie Howe, he will have cemented himself in the hearts of the fans. I mean, from day one, he's been honest and upfront, and he's got flags in the stands, but he's got songs that haven't necessarily been sung for previous managers. I think he can take us where we need to get to, but at some point he will. He's an Everton fan, so he may well get. You might get a sniff of the blue side of Stanley Park. I hope he hangs around a long time. I really, really do, and I think he's capable of taking us to that level. But whatever happens, he'll be remembered always fondly.
Yeah, I completely agree. And you mentioned also before about players like Joe Linton, Longstaff, who've improved. Another player who's really improved and come along, and even Klopp mentioned it in his press conference, is Almiron. Last season, he was always seen as a busy player, but lacked that end product. This season, would you say he's been your best player so far?
I don't think he's been our best player across the course of the season. He went through that amazing run of scoring in 7 or 8 games in a row, I think. And he wasn't just scoring goals, he was scoring worldies. He got player of the month for one of them. But he's calmed down a little bit. He still runs like a frenzied terrier. And I love watching him because he always smiles. You know what I mean? You see Almiron on camera, and he's always that grin. I'd have him tattooed on my arm if I could do. Could do actually. No, anyway, he's a great player to watch, but he's improved immeasurably. I wouldn't say he's our best player, but in terms of stepping up to the plate, he's the energy that he puts into the game is now turning into more quality. And he's got this lovely relationship with Trippier. When you see them down the right so many times, and I'm sure Klopp will be managing your defence accordingly. Trips will follow, and they'll 1-2 it, and he'll run to the byline on the right-hand side of that penalty area, and something's going to happen. And it's great. They understand each other. And again, that comes down to Eddie Howe. I mean, he's had them working closely together. He's seen that dynamic and how it can work. And I don't know, whatever he said to Almiron, he's upped his level of quality. There's something in there that was always there, but to your point, it was just lost on energy and running around, which we love as Newcastle fans. As long as you're giving, it's like Liverpool fans. As long as you see someone's putting in the effort for your team, for the club, you'll back them. It's when they start to get lazy that fans lose them. Miggy, even though he was never turning it on all the time, he's never been lazy for us, and I think we love him for us.
Precisely, completely agree with that. I mean, who would you say has been your best player so far this season then?
I mean, you've got to look at Bruno. I think since Bruno has been pulled out of midfield because of that red card, I'm hoping, that this is our blip. Things are coming. We're not losing, but we're not winning, and we look a little bit lost in midfield. I mean, I'm a massive Willock fan. I'm a massive Joe Linton fan, and I think there's good quality there. But Bruno, he creates a pass out of nothing. He just buys time. You get those players that when you watch them play, they just seem to have, even if there's not much space, they have something in their locker to create something magic. And that's what I think we've been missing since he's been out. And hopefully he'll come back to the cup final and turn it on. And that's one thing I'm sure we can both agree on. We'd like to turn against Man U.
I need you guys to win that.
Oh man, I can't wait. It's going to be something special. I went to the semi-finals in 98 and 99 when we lost Arsenal and Man U. And I always said I never thought in my lifetime I'd see us get there again. And here we are. And for me, a beautiful story. Bruno's been a revelation, mate. He's been something. He's been something else.
Yeah, he's the one player that I think the rest of the sort of the quote unquote big six look at and think missed a trick there. I know Liverpool could definitely do Bruno midfield. Chelsea, with the amount of money they've spent, could have done with Bruno midfield. Dare I say Arsenal, they could have done with Bruno midfield. Man City may be the only club that could turn around and say we don't need him. Man United could do with a Bruno. He's that good, and he's been, as you said, a revelation for you guys. Now, you currently sit fourth in the league. If I had said to you at the beginning of the season, you'll be fourth more than midway through the season, there's a high chance that you'll finish in the Champions League spots, I think you'd have bitten my hand off for it. That being said, now you're there. Would you see it as a failure if you fell out of the top four, maybe finish fifth or sixth this season?
For me personally, no. Genuinely, my barometer of success this year was, please don't put us through another relegation battle. We've had too many years where we're relying on other teams around us to drag us out of those bottom three. Yeah. So for me personally, even if we end up, I know it sounds daft, if we end up not winning the Carabao, we end up fifth, sixth, seventh, whatever, but we've turned up. I mean, I've really enjoyed watching us play this year. It's been an absolute pleasure to watch our team play. And no, you're not going to go into a contest with Liverpool or Arsenal and get a shoe in every single week. And that for me is success. There's plenty of fans out there who are absolutely, we need to get in that Champions League spot. But my only concern is, and this is probably, I've been following this team for too long and I've been bitten too many times. We get somewhere and then we can't back it up. And I just, for our first 11 could beat any team in the Premier League on their day, no doubt whatsoever. But as we've already found, and I, chew the fat with plenty of mates about this, when one of those linchpins drops out, Bruno, even Big Dan Burn at left back is crazy. Because I was a massive Target fan last year. But you start to see these players when they come off or they're not there, and the flow of the team just steps down a notch. And I just think it's all well and good having a first 11 who can compete, but if you don't have the squad to back it up, then you're in trouble. And I just wonder, when you've got you've got cup competitions, you've got the league, and then you've got European football on top. Don't get me wrong, I'm polishing my passport right now, but I'm also aware that I don't want to see, you don't want to see your team struggle. You want to get there and be ready for it. So,
Yeah,
but no, I
precisely.
wouldn't see it as a failure, man. I wouldn't.
No, I agree. I agree. It's almost you're always having a sort of mirror season to Arsenal's expectations. No one expects them to be chasing the league title, and you're starting to see some of their fans get really frustrated because they are dropping points at a really critical time when the aim or the sort of the brass ring was top four, and they've pretty much already solidified it. The rest of the season should effectively be fun, but it won't be now, which is why football's such a mad sport.
Yeah.
In terms of Liverpool, though, we've had a very rough season. And like going into the season, because we didn't sign a centre midfielder, I didn't think we'd be competing for the league. I didn't expect us to be mid-table, though. I did think we'd be comfortably top four. However, this is a game that if we don't win, I think you can almost certainly say, or I'll change that. If we lose, I'll almost certainly say top four is completely out of the question now, especially with you guys being fourth. We have a game in hand, but again, that's not going to change anything, in my opinion. From the outside looking in at Liverpool, did you expect us to be as bad as we have been this season? And what do you think the main issues are from an outsider's perspective?
See, I didn't expect you to be this bad, but I did. And I'd say I'm not Mystic Meg, but when you chat with your mates about football, it was the 7-year thing with Jurgen Klopp, and a similar thing happened in Germany. And I almost feel that he's a phenomenal manager. I really like him. He's a character, and he's good. You know what I mean? He's not a bad manager, but he's almost loyal to a fault, in my opinion. And when you look at your midfield, I always thought coming into this season, I love James Milner. I think he's brilliant. He's an absolute professional. He was great for us, and he's been great for you. But him and Henderson, I think for Liverpool, who are one of the world's biggest clubs, one of the most successful clubs in history, you needed a much more dynamic midfield because you were up there and Champions Leagues, finals, all that sort of stuff. But I think those guys are past their best. But when you're still relying on those guys to run your midfield, I think, to your point before, mate, a Bruno would have gone in there, and I think you wouldn't be where you are with a Bruno Guimaraes. I just don't. So I think I kind of thought this might be a bit of a challenge because if Klopp had been, let's just say, less loyal, it builds the squad and it delivers amazing results. But then you've got to let go. You've got to move on. And there have been managers over the decades who've known when to let those players go. I think one of Klopp's failings is he doesn't know when to let the players go. And it's a shame. It's a shame because well, a lot of neutral football fans love watching Liverpool in full flow. It's great to watch.
Yeah, Pete, I can't disagree with you on anything you said there.
It was Saturday.
Yeah, I'm hoping they turn it on this Saturday. But no, I think I agree. I think a lot of Liverpool fans agree with that. Like, Klopp is, in my opinion, probably the best thing to happen to Liverpool in modern history. But at the moment, his player loyalty, and that will be tested in the summer as well because Milner's contract's coming to an end, Firmino's contract, Keita, Rocks. So there was a lot of players who are coming to the end of their quote-unquote Liverpool tenure. Yeah, depends on how he sees that and what his development plan is. So you've got a few injuries, if I'm not mistaken. So Maximan, Bruno is suspended still, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. Callum Wilson's out. Who would you expect to see in your starting 11 tomorrow?
I mean, the back five almost pick themselves now. I mean, if there's one thing I never thought I'd be saying to anybody, it's Newcastle United. I've got the most frugal defence in the Premier League. Yeah. It's nuts, man. I mean, having looked at the entertainers where we will just score more goals than you, although you always scored one more than us. Whenever they bring those games up, they talk about them as epics. I hate them. But I think you're going to have Pope, you're going to have Trips, you're going to have Shah, Burn, and Botman. Botman is Iceman. That guy is an understated diamond. I mean, to play the way he does now, he just doesn't get flustered. So I think the back five picks itself. I'm not sure if Willock's injured or not. He went off injured the other day. I'm hoping he might be back. But, whether you've got Joe Linton, Willock, Longstaff axis, it's not the most, flamboyant. You're not going to get your flamboyant, Alan Saint-Maximin runs, but they're also, they know exactly what they're doing and they work well together. And like I say, I'm a massive Willock fan. And then you've got to put, you've got Miggy, you've got Isaac, who's coming. So, I mean, that for me, I probably missed a player there, but that for me would be the core. And I don't know who else can go up front, because we played this 4-3-3 system, which has worked well for us. I don't know. I think there's a bit of needle there after the game at Anfield. After
it was a bit weird.
So we're going to see where that goes.
Yeah, it was weird because that game, it felt as though you guys were trying to stall. And here's the thing: when you're a fan of a team that's trying to attack and trying to get the win, you get annoyed with the team that's trying to stall. But if you reverse the roles, we would have been doing the exact same thing. If we were playing for a draw or trying to protect a lead, we would have done the exact same thing. It's where we can be fickle as football fans. But it's very weird to see it because Newcastle and Liverpool, they've never really had like any needle between the two. The two teams just play excellent games against each other, and it just kind of stays on the pitch. So I'll be interested to see how it goes. For Liverpool's standpoint, I think we go with Trent at the back, Alisson in goal, obviously, Robbo left back. I think here's where we'll see a bit of a change. I think Virgil will come back in now that he's not injured anymore, and I think Gomez will go on the bench. So I think it'll be Virgil and Matip at the back. I think the midfield will be the same midfield that started against Everton. So I think it will be Fabinho at the base, Hendo on the right, Bajcetic on the left. And then up top, I think it'll be the same front three as well. I think you'll go Nunes from the left, Gakpo through the middle, and Salah from the right. So Pete, prediction time. St. James's Park, under the bright light, Saturday evening kickoff. Newcastle versus Liverpool. What's your score?
See, my heart is telling me it's 2-0. I think we're going to sort of maintain the nil. My fear is that, because I mean, I'd be interested to hear your opinion on Gakpo. To be fair, I mean, he flew in the World Cup. I like the look of him. He looks like a Liverpool player. But I think if Gakpo and Virgil van Dijk, play to potential, it's going to be a tough game. My worry also is that in a week's time, all of Newcastle's descending on Wembley for the biggest game in the last 23 years. And my worry is that players go in a bit half-baked, worrying about injuries and hoping to hold on for that. So I still think we'll do it. I think we'll nil you, and I think we'll get a couple. I think Isaac's in for one. I think he scored a lovely goal at Anfield, and I think he'll be after more. But then you've just got players who, after watching that Everton game, I watched it, and it was men against boys. I'm not trying to wind and bait Everton fans. It's just not. It wasn't even a contest. I thought you were played really, really well, better than I'd seen all season. To be fair.
Yeah, agreed.
Go on. Where's your head and heart?
I'll be honest. My heart always says Liverpool win, but my head is. I think we can score against you guys, and we've shown we can. But at the same time, we've shown how inconsistent we can be in front of goal and how good your defense is. My head's going for a draw. I wouldn't be surprised if you guys beat us. But my head's going for a draw. I'm going for a 1-1.
1-1.
Yeah.
I mean, I think
it can go either way, but I feel it being a draw because, as you said, I think you'll have one eye on the final.
Yeah.
But you guys are resolute in what you do, whereas we're so inconsistent at the moment. I don't see us scoring more than one goal. Look, I'd love to be proven wrong. I just don't see us scoring more than one, but I don't see us conceding a lot either.
No, I don't think you're too far on, for the truth, to be honest. I mean, there are so many interesting dynamics at play here. I think the crowd are going to be frenzied. It's a 5:30 kickoff, which means there'll be a few fizzy pops consumed way before kickoff. Obviously, there was the coaching staff, tit for tat at Anfield, which means that there's going to be 50,000 black and white baying for attention.
Yeah.
And I just hope the players. Eddie Howe's biggest job here is going to be keep the players focused on the task at hand, not looking, to first of all not go half-baked because they don't want to get injured, but also not getting wound up by the fans because, when you know what it's like when Anfield's rocking.
Yeah,
there are a few better stadiums, and to be fair, Newcastle's the same. When we are going at it, it's literally 90 minutes of noise and passion, and I can only imagine what it's like as a player to go out and get wound up by that. So I just hope. No silly cards, no arguments, just a good fiery contest that we do go toe-to-toe.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I am a bit nervous, but I'm looking forward to it. Pete, one of the main reasons we brought you on today, though, is because we want you to speak about a special campaign you've got going on. Now, obviously, we know each other personally, but the people of the Kopish community don't know you. Could you give us a little bit of your backstory and why this campaign is so important at the moment, please, Pete?
Of course, yeah. It's Again, I'm just going to say thank you up front for giving me this platform. So basically, my the last 6 years have been rather unexpected from my perspective. So in 2017, I was diagnosed with the blood cancer, which I think was 37 at the time, if I remember. And I was running triathlons. I was playing dad to my two lads, and we just had a very, very nice, steady life. Which no one's entitled to, and I don't take it for granted, but I didn't see this coming, certainly not at this young age. Anyway, I got the diagnosis. Unfortunately, I've got this thing called myeloma, it's an incurable blood cancer, and it's quite aggressive. 6 years ago, I was given a prognosis of 7 years. So I personally don't see it playing out. I don't think this is my last year on this,
Better not be.
But it also doesn't mean that I've been able to sit back and simply coast through the last 6 years, hoping things will be okay, because I'm on chemotherapy 3 weeks out of 4, and I will be, I'll be taking some kind of therapy because of that. Now, the 7-year prognosis I was given came with a caveat, and the caveat was, if I could find myself a stem cell donor, then I had every opportunity of looking beyond that 7-year prognosis. And for anyone who's listening, a stem cell, in simplest terms, it's the precursor to every single cell in your body. So before a hair cell's a hair cell, or a skin is a skin, or blood is blood, it's a stem cell. If I can find, or if any blood cancer patient can find their genetic twins, somebody to donate almost identical stem cells to that patient, those cells will grow into healthy cells. And although it won't cure myeloma, it will put it into a state where I can very feasibly look beyond that 7-year prognosis. I started a campaign back in 2018. It was the 1st of September 2018, and I called it 10,000 donors. It was my aim to get 10,000 more people on the register. And because at the time, just loose statistics for you, at the moment in the UK, only 2% of the UK population are registered to be stem cell donors, and globally, it's 0.4%. So there's not many people on there. But that's a good thing for me. It gives me 98% of the world to go after and get registered. If I was sat here talking to you now, mate, and I was told there's 99% of the world on there and we've not got your match, those are odds that you're really going to struggle to beat. As it is, by running this campaign, 10,000 donors, I'm here to raise awareness and work with charities like the African Caribbean Leukemia Trust, the ACLT, who I know you know very well.
Yeah.
And we raise awareness. We get people to register. We if they don't want to register or they can't, then we get people to talk about it and share and spread the message. The more people we can get on that register, then we've all got our insurance policy. Hopefully you will never, ever need it. But if you do, you want to know that that person, that genetic twin, is waiting on the register for you. Now, at the moment, I've done a few, since 2018, I've done many different projects to raise awareness, and we've got some real good traction. We've got a lot of people on there. But I've got a new campaign which is focused on something which is, it's not just a lack of numbers, which is the problem with stem cell registration. It's also a lack of diversity. And I know that term is bandied around a lot, and it's almost lost its impact. But to put it in some kind of context for stem cell conversation, if you are a couple of generations of white European, then you've got north of a 70% chance of finding your donor match today. If you're of any other minority ethnic heritage, whatever that may be, the opportunity to find your twin today drops to, if you're lucky, 30%. And that's if you're lucky.
Yeah.
Now, there are a bunch of reasons why that is. But ultimately, the new campaign, which we've called Gob for Good, and I'll explain why, is about rebalancing, bridging the gap between the health inequality that exists on the register today. So although I look white Caucasian, my family hail from Southeast Asia, and having had my genetic, matrix looked over, it's all in there. You can see. So my mixed heritage is not apparent, but I fall into the category of you're not going to find your match because there are so few people on there. Yeah. And if you were judging purely based on the way I look, my message to anyone listening and watching this today is if you don't look like me, get on the register. If you're aged between 16 and 55, get on the register. And we are the only people who can fix this. We can't wait for the powers that be to solve the problem. We have to solve the problem. That's kind of my mantra here. It's let's help each other. Cancer's indiscriminate. It doesn't care what your bank balance is, where you grew up, what your race or religion is. It's one of those things that is indiscriminate. So for one moment in time, my message to everyone is, let's just park our differences for once, whether you're red or blue, black or white, whatever, and let's just do something which can bring us together. And for one moment in time, a simple swab of your cheek, go to gobforgood.com, order your cheek swab, a simple swab of your cheek, and you send it back in a prepaid envelope, and then you are on the register. And that simple act takes 3 or 4 minutes, could potentially save a life. And that's massive. That is an absolutely massive thing.
Yeah. Pete, we've known each other for a few years now, obviously through the work that you do and for the work I do outside of this. And I look, I'm not just saying this because we're on camera. I think I've said this to you. You are truly one of the most inspirational people I know. And you know, as much as I can, I'm going to bat for your corner and I'm going to push this message as far as wide as possible. So guys, in the description of this video on YouTube is the website, gobforgood.com. Also the pinned comment as well. So please guys, go and follow this campaign, go and support this campaign. I usually ask you guys to smash the like button on this video. I'm not going to ask you to do that today. I'm going to ask you guys to click on that link and register. I am part of the stem cell register. I kid you not, as Pete says, it's literally a couple of cheek swabs. It does not hurt. It's not invasive. It's a couple of cheek swabs. You send it off and you could save someone's life. Guys, it's that simple. Pete, it's been such a pleasure having you on. I'm so glad we've got to do this. We'll do this more in the future as well. Obviously, I would say good luck for the game tomorrow, but I'd be lying. In terms of everything else, though, you know you've got my blessing. You know, if you need anything, whether it be from me, from the ACLT, please don't hesitate. You know we're here for you, man.
It's an absolute privilege to know you, and I appreciate this opportunity, mate. It's been really fun talking football. I could do this all afternoon, but I won't.
Yeah, well, you're a natural. You're brilliant. You're brilliant. And believe me, if you weren't, they'd let you know in the comments you weren't good. So you're an absolute natural. So guys, you know what to do now. I'm not going to say like the video. I'm going to say go and support Pete's campaign. We are going to be back later on with our call-in show probably around 8:30 this evening. So make sure you tune in for that. Thanks everyone for listening. Leave your predictions in the comments below and see you guys later. Take care.
Thank you very much. Cheers, Callum.
Thank you, Pete.